Fairy Tale, Swan Geese. Once upon a time in a village there lived a father and mother, and they had two wonderful kids, a daughter and a little son. One day, the mom calls her daughter over. "Honey, your father and I are going to the fair. You're staying at home. Be a good girl and take care of your little brother. Don't leave the yard, and we'll bring you sweets and gifts." "Okay, Mommy, don't worry. Everything will be fine. I'll look after my brother." As soon as the parents left, the girl immediately forgot what her mom said and asked her to do. She sat her brother down on the grass under the window and ran outside to her friends. She had so much fun playing that she lost all track of time. Suddenly, out of nowhere, swan geese swooped in. They swept up the little boy and carried him away on their wings, far, far away. The girl came back home, looked around, but couldn't find her brother. She started looking for him. She looked and looked, but couldn't find him anywhere. She began crying, but tears of sorrow won't help. The girl ran out into the open field and looked around. For a second, in the distance, she saw swan geese. Then they disappeared behind the dark forest. The girl realized that they carried away her little brother. Swan geese were known for doing nasty things. They often carried small children away. The girl rushed to catch up with them. She ran and then saw an oven in the field. Oven, tell me, where did the swan geese fly?" "Fill me up with some firewood," says the oven. "Then I'll tell you." Masha quickly chopped some firewood and threw it into the oven. The oven told her which way to run. The girl ran on. She sees an apple tree full of rosy apples. The branch is so heavy they're bending down to the ground. Apple tree, tell me, where did the swan geese fly?" "Shake down my apples. Then I'll tell you where the swan geese flew." Masha shook the apples from the tree. The apple tree lifted its branches, straightened its leaves, and showed Masha the way. The girl runs on and sees a milk river in the forest flowing along honey banks. Milk river? Honey banks? Where did the swan geese fly? "A heavy stone fell into me," replies the river. "Move it aside. Then I'll tell you where the swan geese flew." The girl gathered her strength and moved the stone. The river murmured and told the girl where to run, where to look for the swan geese. The girl ran for a long time, across fields, through forests. She came to a deep, dark forest. She stands on the edge of the forest and doesn't know where to go and what to do next. She looks and sees a hedgehog is sitting under a stump. Hedgehog, did you see where the swan geese flew?" The hedgehog says, "Where I roll, there you should go." He curled up into a ball and rolled between the fir trees and birches. He rolled and rolled up to a hut on chicken legs. Masha sees Baba Yaga is sitting in the hut, spinning yarn. And her little brother is sitting on a bench, playing with silver apples. The girl came into the hut. "Hello, Granny." Hello, little girl. What do you want? I walked long and hard through forests and fields. Let me warm up a bit. Okay, then sit down and spin for me. Baba Yaga gave her the spindle and left. The girl began spinning. Suddenly, a mouse runs out from under the oven and says to her, little girl, give me some porridge, and I'll tell you something important." The girl gave her some porridge, and the mouse said to her, "Baba Yaga went to heat the bathhouse. She'll wash you, and then put you in the oven, roast you, and eat you." The girl got really scared and began to cry. "Don't wait. Take your brother and run, and I'll spin for you." The girl took her brother and ran. Baba Yaga comes to the window and asks, "Girl, are you spinning?" The mouse replies, "Spinning, Granny, spinning." Baba Yaga heated the bathhouse and went to get the girl. But there's no one in the hut. Baba Yaga begins screaming, "Swan Geese, fly and catch her! The sister ran off with her brother!" The Swan Geese soared up into the sky, cried, and flew off. The girl runs, carrying her little brother. She looked back and saw the Swan Geese. What to do? She ran to the Milk River honeybanks. But the Swan Geese are crying, flapping their wings, gaining on her. "River, river, please hide us." The river seated her and her brother under a steep bank and hid them from the Swan Geese. The Swan Geese didn't see the children and flew by. The girl and her brother came out from under the steep bank, thanked the river, and ran on. But the Swan Geese returned and are flying towards them. At any moment, they'll see them. What to do? Trouble. The girl ran up to the apple tree. Mother tree, hide us." The apple tree hid the kids with her branches, covered them with her leaves. The Swan Geese circled and circled, didn't find anyone, and flew on. The girl came out from under the apple tree, thanked her, and started running again. She runs, carrying her little brother, already close to home. But darn it, the Swan Geese see them again, gaggling, swooping down on them, flapping their wings, ready to tear the little boy from her arms. Good thing the oven was nearby. The girl ran to it. "Oven, oven, hide us!" The oven hid them behind its flap. The Swan Geese flew up to the oven, tried to open the flap, but nothing doing. They dashed to the pipe, but couldn't get into the oven. Only got soot all over their wings. They circled and circled, cried and cried, but returned to Baba Yaga empty-handed. The children crawled out, thanked the oven, and ran home across the field as fast as they could. They got home. The girl washed her brother, combed his hair, sat him down on the bench. She sat down next to him, and then their parents arrived, bringing them gifts and sweets from the fair. So you see, kids, if you help others and do good deeds, then when you're in a tight spot, someone will always help you. And also, learn to use your wits and make quick decisions. Always try to find a way out of a difficult situation. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and don't forget to share our fairy tales with your friends. The fairy tale Kolobok. In the same village there lived a distant grandfather and grandmother. They lived in poverty, but they were together. Then one day the grandfather asked the grandmother, "Bake me a ruddy bun, grandmother." And the grandmother answered, "What should I bake with? There has been no flour for days." "Take a good look everywhere. Scratch some up. Brush some up from somewhere. Maybe with leftovers you can get enough for a whole bun." How are you so smart all of a sudden? But there's nothing we can do. I'm going to collect the rest of the flour around the house. And she had flour of all kinds in her 2 palms. The grandmother kneaded dough from this flour and fashioned a gingerbread man. She put it in the oven. The gingerbread man came out ruddy and fragrant. Grandma put it on the windowsill to cool a little. And Kolobok opened his eyes and smiled at the sun. Then jumped from the window to the porch, from the porch to the yard, from the yard to the gate. And ran farther and farther and kept going down a forest path. The gingerbread man rolled along the path and a rabbit came towards him. "And who are you?" "I am Kolobok." "How ruddy and fragrant you are, gingerbread man. I will eat you." "Do not eat me, rabbit. Just listen. I am a cheerful Kolobok. I have a ruddy side. The cook was skillful and I turned out delicious. I baked in the oven for a long time and cooled down by the window. Then I jumped from the window and rolled down the path. Rolled away from Grandma and Grandpa. I didn't even say goodbye to them. To avoid getting into trouble, I will leave the rabbit." And he rolled down the road, but the rabbit saw him. The gingerbread man was rolling along the forest path, and towards him came the grey wolf. "And who are you?" "I am Kolobok." "How ruddy and fragrant you are, gingerbread man. I will eat you." "Don't eat me, grey wolf. Better listen to me. I am the cheerful Kolobok. I have a ruddy side. The cook was skillful and I turned out delicious. I baked in the oven for a long time and then cooled down on the window. Then I jumped from the window and rolled down the path. I rolled away from Grandma and Grandpa and I didn't even say goodbye to them. I met a rabbit on the way, but I managed to get away from him. In order to not get into trouble, I will leave you too, wolf." And he slipped out from between the paws of the wolf and rolled on through the forest. Kolobok kept rolling, and towards him came a clumsy bear collecting raspberries. How the clumsy bear roared. "And who are you?" "I am Kolobok." "How ruddy and fragrant you are, gingerbread man. I'll eat you now." "Do not eat me, bear, but rather listen to me. I am a cheerful Kolobok and I have a ruddy side. The cook was skillful and I turned out delicious. I baked in the oven for a long time, then cooled down by the window. Then I jumped from the window and rolled down the path. I rolled away from Grandma and Grandpa and I didn't even say goodbye to them. I met a rabbit on the way and managed to get away from him. And I slipped away from the wolf. From between his paws I slipped. And so as not to have trouble, I will leave you too, bear." And Kolobok rolled on. Kolobok rolled on towards the edge of the forest. And there a fox was sitting on a stump. "And so who are you?" "I am Kolobok." "How ruddy and fragrant you are, gingerbread man. And where are you rolling to?" "I'm rolling along the path to see the world and show myself to everyone." "Where did you come to our forest from?" "I am just a cheerful Kolobok. I have a ruddy side. The cook was skillful and I turned out delicious. I baked in the oven for a long time and cooled down by the window. Then I jumped out the window and rolled down the path. I rolled away from Grandma and Grandpa and I didn't even say goodbye to them. I met a rabbit on the way and managed to get away from him. I jumped from the paws of a wolf and a bear did not get me. And now, so there is no trouble, I will run away from you too, fox. The fox looked at him slyly and said, "Oh, how beautiful. Only I'm really old and I can't hear anything. Can you sit close to my face so I can listen again? Just repeat that louder, please." Colobok was happy to try. He jumped up on the fox's muzzle and began. "I am a cheerful Colobok. I have a ruddy side. The cook was skillful and I turned out." Colobok did not have much time to finish, and the fox flicked her muzzle and swallowed Colobok. Yummy! And she ate him. This is how it is with kids who run away from home and don't listen to their parents. Subscribe to our channel, leave us a like, click on the bell, and do not miss anything.